Right. So no matter what, they had to open up, um,
Yeah,
and therefore they chose the way to open up and still remain independent by becoming a stronger nation. Um,
yes,
hmm, yeah, yeah. So I think that was actually the smartest way to go, given
I
the
agree.
circumstances.
I agree.
Hmm. Okay, okay. So let's have a look at argumentation and the way Western society always argues along the lines of deduction, induction, abduction. I think that's something that is important to realize as if you are engaging with Western culture.
Mhm.
Let's suppose that you're writing a really important email to a colleague.
Well, it is difficult, but I think in general, so deduction, you have premises, and if you put two or more premises together, you can create a valid or invalid argument. The example that Mr. Green gave in this video is that all men are mortal, which is a valid premise, because all people die eventually. All men are mortal. Socrates is a man, which is also true. Therefore, Socrates is mortal. That's a valid deductive argument. So that follows out of the other. One follows out of the other. That so far so good, but two valid premises do not necessarily make a valid conclusion. So and we see this very often in reality. For example, if we have basically we see in economics we see this a lot. People create a model of what the world looks like, and then they actually start to go through empirical observation, and then they say, okay, well then there is a relation between A and B, therefore C. But always in economics, the argument is about the premises. The premises, whether they are right or wrong, because you need to abstract the world in order to capture it. The world is way too complicated to capture it entirely. Therefore, you need to make a model of the world. So the way that economists work is that they make an abstraction of the world. They say, okay, the people work like this, and very often this is a caricature of how people really work. So, for example, in economics, we have utility maximization. That is how people work. So, based on that, but people are not necessarily rational beings, and they do not always see utility in the right perspective. We saw this in the way that Aristotle reasons and observed that people are not always rational beings. But in economic theory, humans are very often reasonable human beings. So this is where the premises actually have the flaw. This is why economics is such an ineffective science, because actually the premises are often at stake. Not the way that we deduce the mathematical problems. Once we have made the abstraction, we are very well capable of observing, collecting data, and processing data and giving a conclusion, but the debate is always about the premises. So, in Western culture, deduction plays a very important role. The way that deduction plays an important role because if you can find illogical arguments, etc., or inconsistencies, or an abstraction that you can contest, then you can falsify the hypothesis and break the argument of a Western person. That is a way that you can win a debate, for example, because for some reason, Western people, intrinsically, culturally speaking, hate to be inconsistent. It doesn't. That you need to repair yourself, otherwise you're just wrong, right? I think in Japanese culture, what I observe is that there is no such thing as an absolute truth, or things can be true at the same time. It's not necessarily. There is more of a holistic approach towards the reality, and things can be in conflict with each other and can still be true. Parallel truth. Western person cannot live with that.
What do you mean parallel truth?
Parallel truth. So what I sometimes hear from Japanese person when I'm arguing something, I follow logical, for example, deduction. So this, then that, and therefore I'm right. I said, no, you're right, but you're wrong, right? So that's maybe my argumentation is right, but yet I'm not right but basically what the Japanese person is saying to me. So your logical reasoning might be so, but the way that you constructed your model, the way that you have actually constructed your premises might serve your conclusion, but there is. I do not necessarily agree with your premises, and logical. Even though you're logically right, it doesn't mean that this is the reality, because you choose to construct your world according to this model. That is not necessarily the way that I work, because what I observe is, I just feel that. I just sense that you're not right.
I think, therefore, for European people, this is not acceptable. For lightning, lightning has two aspects. One is physical goods.
Right.
The other is a wave. It's a dual standard.
Right.
It's not not acceptable for Westerners.
Right. So that's not exactly.
Yeah.
So always our debates focus on this kind of like truth finding method, and it's always discussion about premises, deduction.
Edson.
Hi. Yes.
I haven't understood your parallel example yet. Could you explain again?
The parallel example or the parallel truth?
Yes.
Right. So quite often when I am trying to persuade a Japanese person, I follow my Western standard of reasoning, deduction. So I say, because of A and B, therefore C, right? Then the Japanese person says, okay, you're right, yet you're wrong. So in the Western world, people would say, okay, you're right, or you're wrong because, and then contest the premises, right? But
very logical.
Very logical, purely logical. I think that if you want to persuade a Western person, then you will have to fight and counter the argumentation based on logical values.
Mm-hmm.
But in Western, in Japanese society, it's very more often okay. But we do not only have the logical deduction, and there's not a single path to describe the reality. There are parallel truths. There is more than one way of looking at the reality. So basically, I feel that in the Japanese mind, people are less prone to creating models, less prone to create premises, and trying to make a model out of that, and thereby trying to be persuasive. There is more of an observation and a way of looking at things from all kinds of different angles and direction, and thereby observing whether something is true or not. So there can be parallel truths because what you can say, okay, this is obviously red, but if you look at it from the backside, it can be blue.
Right.
There
is expression in Japan about don't look at the one surface, but look at the mountain as a whole.
Right. So this is but for a Western person, it doesn't cut it. We want to make sense out of it.
I understand. I came from your view, then lived in Japan and have to learn the view of Japan. So I understand what you're saying.
Right.
Thank you.
Right. Okay. But it's very important to understand that you can make a Western person very uncomfortable by saying, well, okay, you're right, yet you're not. What do you mean?
You're right.
Right. So that goes beyond, outside of the realm of how we were brought up, what our world looks like. And this is where there is a major gap, I feel, between Japanese culture and Western culture.
Yes, for example, in your example of your friends in parallel, I would try to bring up another example, another surface, but in same level. That would counter argue.
Right.
Then it would be insane. I would be able to expand the same surface, right? Right.
Well, I have to add to this that the person was not only Japanese but also a woman. Therefore, actually, even without trying to discriminate here, but therefore the value of logical argumentation completely goes out of the window.
Good. Emotional part.
Right.
Okay, I understand.
Right.
はい、皆さんこんにちは、雲野です。今日はですね、雲野塾の研修のプログラムをご紹介したいと思います。で、こういうふうなホームページありますけれども、ぜひですね、一度中身をご覧になっていただきたいと思います。今日はブーキューブさんのスタジオに来て、この収録をしておりますので、中身はこういうふうになってて、今最近ホットなね、グローバルリーダーの定義など書いてあります。で、特に経団連が作成しました留学すれば英語ができて専門性を持つというだけではですね、グローバルリーダーになれないとここに書いてありますようにですね、仕事ができる、専門性を持つ、英語ができるだけじゃなくてですね、私どもの塾ではリベラルアースということ、それからもう一つは孫子の平和、さらにはですね、日本の歴史というものを合わせて教えることによって皆さんが海外の欧米の方々と、もしくは華僑圏の方々と正々堂々と渡り合えるような人物を育成しようというふうなことを考えています。ここに次のスライドが出ておりますけれども、ここに書いてありますのはですね、さらに、私どもの雲野塾の中身につきましてはですね、欧米の資料しか使っておりません。また実際に雲野塾は英語でやっておりますので、英語の講師が話しておりますけど、学習はですね、日本の歴史をまだ教えてますので、学習の午後はですね、日本のプログラムをしております。で、以前はこれ有料だったので、今はですね、実際に会場費も取っていただいておりませんで、毎回5000円ということで、朝9時から午後5時までやっておりますので、ぜひ皆さんですね、ご検討の上ご参加いただければと。英語のできない方もですね、学習の午後こういうふうな研修をしておりますので、ぜひご参加いただければというふうに思っておりますので、よろしくお願いします。で、ここにさらにですね、グループ討議とか実務の勘どころを教えると書いてありますけど、実際には私が10年ほどですね、欧米の新聞とか雑誌等をですね、集めてきた、もともと英語のベースでございますので、そうしたものをですね、 50セッションのテーマに分けて資料作成しております。そういうことで、世界のオペレーション、もしくはカントリーリスクも含めてですね、しかも世界のトップの方々に対しても、いろいろな分析とか洞察をしてですね、議論しております。そういったことも含めてですね、今後ともよろしくお願いしたいと思います。以上で私の挨拶を終えますが、今回のこのビデオの収録にあたってはですね、V キューブさんのスタジオをお借りしてですね、お時間を頂戴して、このビデオを作成させていただきました。よろしくお願いします。どうもありがとうございました。